We look at it. We know that if we're doing the respiratory system first, we've got the opening to the respiratory system here with the external nares, right? External nares, or the nostrils and that kind of stuff. Also, it could come in through the mouth. These a lot of times are very hard to open their mouth because they have rigor mortis and that kind of stuff. They've been setting up for a while. But you can see those nice teeth with the enamel on them, right? And those would be those comical ones for slashing that we would call canines, even though it's a cat. That would be the canines, okay? There would be a big parotid salivary gland. I'm not going to worry about opening that up for you. But once the air comes in, we're going to get to this point here. And I opened it up to here where we can see the cartilage of the larynx. Can y'all see that big shelf of cartilage right there? That would be that thyroid cartilage of the larynx or the voice box. But on a cat, it wouldn't be the voice box. It would be the meow box, right? Okay. And then through that into the trachea. And this is the trachea here. And you can see the C-ring cartilage if you look real closely on it. And you can feel it when you run it across. It goes bump, 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 bump. Hear it? Okay, so that's the trachea. And then from the trachea, it's going to come in, make its way down through this, and then we've got those major vessels coming off the heart, which is right here. The lungs, we've got this lung over here, this lung here, okay? Another lung down here. We've got our lungs on this side. And if I move the heart, if I took the heart out, we could see where the trachea makes its way into the bronchi. So let me see if I can do that right quick. Well, we cut the heart out right here, and it was already a girl to start with, but when you cut their heart out, it makes it even more heartless female. But see here, you can see the trachea coming in right here, and then it's starting to branch and go into the bronchi. I get it really good on this side, okay? Now, the only other part of the respiratory system that I would encourage you to know would be this big structure here. This is that muscular diaphragm that we talked about that was so important in the breathing process, right? So we could do all of these as lobes of the lung. We can do the trachea, we got the esophagus. There's not a lot that we get from the cat in the way of its respiratory system other than those things, okay? And I'll do a green one for the trachea right there, okay? So that's pretty good for respiratory system, okay? All right.
Are we going to have to identify each lobe?
Nah, just call them lungs. I'll be fine with that, okay? Then if we're going to do digestive system, we get the same thing. We've got the oral cavity here, and if you open it up, you can see the rugae on the surface of the cat's mouth. It's very rough, okay? All these ridges here. Once swallowing takes place, remember the epiglottis is going to flip, and instead of going into the trachea, we're going to go into the esophagus, which is this tube here, okay? And this tube runs down, goes under all of this, punches a hole through our diaphragm, and makes its way in over here. Now, all of this is liver. These are the lobes of the liver, and the way they do it in the cat, they say left middle, left lateral, right medial, right lateral, okay? And this guy right here, and see, it's very pokey. This is not, this is pretty solid. This is a sac, and that is the gallbladder. And we always make the gallbladder green, so we're gonna make it green right there, okay? From the liver, all of these are the lobes of the liver.
Do we need to name them specifically?
I would be happy with you just saying it's the liver. We'll get it on the other models with the exact lobe that are human. but on the cat, let's just go with this is the liver, okay? So liver, 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 gallbladder, okay? Now, I'm gonna lift this, and I'm gonna kind of dig up in here, and this is gonna take us to where the esophagus comes through. Right there, that's the esophagus coming into the stomach. And all of this big guy right here is the stomach, okay? And I'm feeling around, there's some fluid in the stomach. I don't know if there's any meow mix or a rat or a cat, something like that. Seems like a lot of fluid, okay? So, as it comes in, the upper part up here would be the fundus that we'll talk about. The body, the cardia is what's around the esophagus, okay? And then it goes into this narrow region here, which is called the pylorus, okay? And there's a sphincter that empties into the small intestine, or the first part, which would be the duodenum. And I can feel it right here. It's a textural thing. It's a lot harder right there, okay? So right there's where the pyloric sphincter is. I can feel, okay? So it narrows down into that. And then the first bit of the small intestine is the duodenum. That's this guy right here, okay? And tucked in the duodenum is this. This is the pancreas, okay? So I'm gonna put a pin. Duodenum is the tube. Pancreas is tucked into that duodenum, okay? Kind of right into it. So if you see, it goes around like this. That's the head of the pancreas right in. So I know that entrance for the pancreas is going to dump in is probably somewhere right around in here, okay, where it would put it into the duodenum, okay? Then in the duodenum, we have all of this mesentery proper on the small intestines that holds it in place. Can y'all see that shiny, kind of clear tissue? That's called mesentery proper. It's what keeps your small intestines from entangling, okay? Now, over the top of this, there is another mesentery. This is called the greater omentum. And this is that apron that is in our front, okay? And if you've seen it in somebody that's very heavy, where the fat has draped down and is coming back like an apron, okay? That's because the amount of fat in all of this is great. So this is very protective for us, and it helps store heat energy inside the body. Okay, keeps us warm and that kind of stuff. Tucked in that mesentery is the spleen.
Sorry, the mesentery, the lesser mesentery, is it also fatty?
Not as much fatty. Okay, it's more just a membrane. Okay, but this is the spleen. It looks like a tongue to me. Yeah. Okay, and it's very easy. It's hard. Remember we said the spleen is hard to suture. Mm-hmm. Okay, because of the way it's real easy to tear, okay? So it's real hard to suture that. So we usually just have to pull it out, okay? So first part of the small intestine, duodenum, okay? And then I'm going to go a few inches, and I'm just pulling along, I'm following along, okay? All of this is small intestine. So I'm probably down in the jejunum now, wouldn't you think? Mm-hmm. And we keep going. Now maybe I'm down into the ileum, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now it's going to be, I know I'm going to be in the ileum when I get to the large intestine because they hook together. So here's still the ileum, still ileum, still ileum. Oh, got to a big part now, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is the large intestine. So the part that hangs down, okay, y'all see how it's going in? The ileum is coming in here, leaving this big sac. Let me get my hand out of the way. This sac here, underneath it. The sac under it is called the cecum, okay? Mm. And on humans, the very tip of this is where our appendix comes off, okay? Cats don't have an appendix because they eat meat, okay? So never had a cecum. Animals that eat a lot of vegetation have a huge cecum, okay? So this is the colon, and it's going to go up, across, and down, and then into the rectum, okay? So that's really the digestive system, okay? So what I've done before, and I've asked questions like, if I put it here, hold this out like this and said, what is this?
The ileum.
So that's the ileum coming in. What is the bottom part here under the,
The cecum.
okay, that'd be the cecum,
Cecum.
right? And then above that is where the colon would be, okay? That kind of stuff. If we're up here close to where the stomach is, and I pin the small intestine, then that's got to be duodenum, right? It's got to be duodenum up close. And then the middle section is jejunum. Really can't ask you jejunum because it's very hard to know where it would begin and end, okay? But I can find where it's beginning, that's the duodenum, and I can find where it's ending, that's the ileum, okay? Liver, pancreas, we've done. This one, while I'm here, let me go ahead and show you. She's a girl, and this is her ovary right here by her kidney. Okay, so that's the little bean-shaped ovary, and this would be the fallopian tube where the
only
sperm
have
would.
one?
No, they have one on this side too. They have a. Since they can have a litter, their uterus is really long and forked and wide, so we can implant all along both sides. In humans, we've kind of got one or two is about all we can deal with, okay? So animals that have a litter, there could be, and a lot of times you can find scar tissue in here where that embryo was implanted in the uterus. So you can actually count scars, and that would tell you how many implanted, not necessarily how many survived, but how many at least implanted.
Does she still have her uterus? Is it gone?
Yeah, her uterus is still there. All of that is uterus. That line. And it continues down, and you can see the other side of it over here. So that's both sides of her uterus. This is her bladder that's empty. Okay. That part right there. Transitional epithelium. Okay. But all in all, she's in pretty good shape.
After
Other
that,
than she's not breathing and her heart's not beating anymore and she's dead. But other than that, she's in pretty good shape.
She's great.
good shape in dead.
Yep. All right, what I'll do is keep this where we can have access to it, and y'all are welcome to, I'll bring some gloves if y'all want to poke around on it.
No.